April 7th, we were moving to this ammo supply point to meet up with Blackwater guys that were running this. It was an ammunition depot for Saddam, like fucking thousands of rounds of ammunition, you name it, from small arms to big shit. And we were going to run operations out of there to, to hit them from a different position and do some, some other stuff at a different spot, in layman's terms. And we didn't make it there. And this is pretty cool before it gets crazy. Going across the Euphrates or the Tigris, I always fucking forget, that comes out of Fallujah. My platoon, it was just 5 vehicles. We crossed this bridge. You might have heard this already, but crossed this fucking bridge, and like Vietnam style, plumes of fucking water started going off, walking towards us. They were shooting fucking mortars at us crossing the bridge, and me being in the back of this Humvee was just like, it was just so in awe again. Like I've seen this on like Platoon, and like just plumes of water like 50 feet high. It was just so like World War II Vietnam and intense. We started taking fire from machine guns on the left corner. My vehicle was chosen to go fucking intercept them, so we chased down there. 5 of us, 6 of us, to go find unknown amount of enemy, which is kind of fucking crazy to me now. Sending 1 vehicle, we get down there, nothing happens. We link back up with the platoon, go down this one stretch of road. I'll skip some parts, but I do remember when we made that left, there was a gas station, for lack of better words, and there was about 30 or 40 dudes, I don't know if you heard this part, that were sitting up against the wall, and not fucking one of them looked at us. Not one. And it hit me then, but it, elevated my fucking, like my, the hairs in the back of my neck. But in hindsight, like, fuck yeah, dude. They weren't looking because they knew something was right up the fucking road. And they just were kind of, it's like avoidance. It's like when something bad's about to happen, they were just like not looking. And not one of them looked at us, dude. It was fucking weird. There was like 30 of them sitting there, like backs against the wall and backs facing what was up ahead. So we get out, and that sparked the captain's fucking, kind of the same thing with the whole platoon. So we get out, get on foot, we call it 5s and 25s. We get out like looking for IEDs and mines, IEDs really, and just kind of walk with the Humvees for a bit, I don't know, 5 minutes or something, if that. Get back in the vehicles, push, and then it cooks off, man. We got hit by roughly 60 to 80, potentially 90 dudes on multiple positions, and they hit the first fucking vehicle real hard, hit the second vehicle hard. I'm looking out the window, looking forward. We're moving this direction right after we got back in the vehicles, after we did that walk. And there's no wind. I remember this. And I remember looking over the shoulder and like looking through the glass right over my guys. I was in the back left seat. And I remember seeing dust kicking up on the right-hand side of the road. And it was like almost like wind was kind of swirling right there. I remember looking up at the palm tree, like to see if the wind was blowing that hard, because it was just, a millisecond like thing. And I was just like, and then I looked up, and then I saw, because they were staggered column, I saw the first vehicle get hit. But I thought at the time it was a fucking IED, and it was black and just brown, like rocked. I might be exaggerating, but in my head today, it looked like it rocked a little bit, like potentially up to like a 45. From the impact, and it like blew out the fucking right side, and I haven't like talked about this in a long time, but, and then simultaneously, basically, contact right was called onto the net. So it just happened like that. And then I remember looking at the dust, falling back at that, and seeing muzzle bursts on top of the fucking, the berm. It's so weird to think about this now, but those dudes were just, I could see it just in the prone, fucking shooting at a 45 up there, but not at us. They could have fucking lit us up from right there, but they didn't. They were hyper-focused, wrongly on their part, because they're not trained, on the first and second vehicle. They should have waited a little bit longer or barricaded the fucking road or something. They could have done a lot more, but thank God they didn't. For our sake, our captain gets out, charges the fucking ambush, and he was a grunt officer and was a tough son of a bitch. I didn't like him too much because I just was a little sensitive at the time and pretty junior, and he didn't like us, and, it was a tough dude. But now that I'm older, like, I wish the guy was still here, but he gets out and fucking charges the hill and gets fucking shot. And I didn't know this because I was at the other end. There was 3 vehicles in the front, the Alpha element. I was the Bravo element. I was the 4th vehicle. We broke off and did a contact right L-shaped counter. We broke off, went right, formed a little bit of an L going that way. And then we had all the guys, not all, but a majority of them closest to us with their backs to us. So we just started shooting them in the back as they were shooting our guys in the front. And from there, countless guys there shooting them on the run. You know, I'll never forget that, shooting and missing and seeing the dirt hit, and no time to really dial anything. And I wasn't a sniper yet, but I could shoot. I was the DM with a M16A4 instead of an M4 like the rest of the boys. I felt kind of like a grunt carrying this thing. I wanted an M4, but I had an ACOG with a 4 power, and I was shooting these dudes from, you know, maybe 100 to like 200 out. Seeing dudes fall and tumble and running into the fucking field and shooting at them. But a lot of dudes moved into this field. Fast forward a little bit later, my Humvee, we get back in my Humvee. The other Humvee stays there. We move up to this next break, which was kind of up in that area where all these guys were at. We burst through this fucking break in the berm, turn around, the gun faces some direction, Steintorf on the 50 cal. Baptista punches north, solo, myself and Stafford go south back towards where we came from and shoot a bunch of dudes. And one of those dudes tried to blow us up with a fucking grenade, pulled a grenade, blew himself in half. He was still alive. He was crawling like a fucking zombie. So I was like up against this guy, looking at this field I was just talking about. Stafford was right next to me, and Stafford yelled grenade. I mean, it's like a fucking movie. I looked down and this dude is like looking up at us with a grenade and pulls the fucking pin, and he's shot. You know, I thought the guy was dead. And one of us shot him, or both of us did. And was not dead, dying for sure. It was his last ditch effort. I mean, pretty badass on his part, to be honest. I would have done the same thing. And waited till we got right the fuck up on him. And detonated, blew himself up. But the funny part is, to make light of the situation, you know, it's super chaotic, man. I mean, it's super stressful. The common man to fucking be down in the fetal, and you do have that in you. You just push through it. I want to go home. I'm there with my boys. I have a job to do. So, you know, it's the extremeness of it. We were trained for it. So it was pretty fucking, I mean, it's like slow motion that this is even happening. And granted, I'm only 24 at the time. You know, I'm 43 now. He yells grenade. I look down and see the guy's eye. Look at Stafford. We start laughing because it was just a reactionary thing to do, like surreal. So we start fucking running. I felt like I had parachutes like on my legs. I felt like I wasn't running fast enough, and I was laughing at the same time. He gets blown in half. Feet go up over the berm, and he's like fucking crawling like a zombie. Just Stafford shoots him fucking a billion times, kills that dude. We link back up to the Humvee, push towards Baptista. I trip over a tow wire, land on a dead Iraqi who was wearing Army ACU American uniform, who had a Army M4 with an aim point, an Army issued weapon that he obviously took off a dead fucking soldier. And to this day, I wonder who that man is. Took the weapon. Being a good Marine, I took the optic. It was better than mine. And I took the buttstock because I like that too. But then I gave the weapon in later on. So yeah, Marines will do that. But I mean, it was a good Army weapon, man. And I used it and I held it for a long time. Dead dudes everywhere. Baptista actually cleared a lot of dudes solo, because he's a fucking beast. And throw a bunch of the dead dudes when it's all quiet on the fucking Humvees for biometrics for later, so we can figure out who they are and if they were on the list of guys. So yeah, man, we get back to base with these bodies, put them in a giant fucking pile that was like 6 foot tall by like 10 feet across. You know, fucking crazy to be doing that, but we did. And they call us into this big like formation, this big school circle as we call it. And our company commander, Captain Richardson, you know, like we're doing sit, kneel, stand basically. And he's like, you know, Captain Morel was hit. He died midair on the way to fucking Germany, wherever the hell he was going. Eddie Wright is severely hurt. He's on his way to fucking Germany. You know, multiple casualties. And that's, the guilt didn't really hit then, but it hit me. Like I didn't know there was 2 or 3 different battles at once. And this obviously in hindsight happens a lot, but like I had literally no idea what the fuck was happening at the front of the column. So I'm on my little communication network of 5 guys. Team leader Baptista's talking to the higher guys, and so that information never got to us. And plus, it was we had our own battle. I mean, truly. So you're starting to see the picture gets painted. It's like paint by numbers at first, and you're not sure what you're seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing a better picture by the end of it. So big to small, really. And I'm still learning things to this day. Like today, I learned a few things that I didn't know about. I mean, a fucking crazy deployment. And that was early on. That was only like a month and a half into it. And we still were there till like fucking October.